Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Today I want to touch on the two universal laws that govern all of us, whether we are aware of it or not, whether we believe it or not, whether we know anything about it or not. The first one is the law of cause and effect, or the law of karma, and the other one is the law of rebirth or reincarnation. So I'm going to split it up, and I'm just going to talk about karma and the law of cause and effect today. Now, whether we are aware of it or not, our lives are governed by our actions, our thoughts, and what we say, for good or for bad. And when you see Maitreya on TV, which I believe you'll see him very soon, if you haven't already, but when he becomes more and more known and recognized for who he is, he'll talk more and more about this. I'm sure he's probably already talking about it now, the need for harmlessness. Well, right now we're not living in a very harmless world. We're living in a world that we all harm each other, and that's what's creating the problems in the world. Because according to the masters, karma is a far greater and far greater scale than just for an individual. So individuals create karma, of course, but also families, groups, racial groups, nations around the world, they all create karma, and of course the entire world creates karma. One of the world karma that we're all dealing with is one of the negative karmas that we're dealing with is, of course, we're using nuclear radiation in the way that we're using it today. All the testing, all the reactors around the world are killing the environment, and they're killing off all of us and making us sick. That's world karma par excellence. Nations create karma. So when you look at a United States, for instance, and they take the resources, the great resources that it has, and rather than using it for the good of the people of not only in its own nation but around the world, but use it to arm itself and create all sorts of nasty wars around the world and so forth and so forth, well, it comes back on us negatively in storms, earthquakes, airplane disasters, automotive disasters, and so forth, and illnesses in our country. And so until we realize that what we are doing and what we're saying and what we're thinking is creating karma, we aren't going to live truly harmlessly. That's why, unfortunately, most of us haven't picked up on it from the great teachers of the past, like Jesus, like the Buddha, like Muhammad, like Krishna. They all talked, the central part of their teachings was all harmlessness. And the reason why we need to live harmlessly is because of the law of cause and effect. Jesus said it himself, what you sow, so shall you reap. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, it's so simple, it's glossed over by the vast majority of the people out there. In fact, it's so missed. It's the true meaning of it is missed by so many people. It's almost a universal swing and a miss, is that we have such a vague concept of it. We don't even think about it. We don't even realize that it is affecting us, right? The other thing that he said was, those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. If you take up violence, well, guess what? Violence is going to come your way. And according to the masters, it's not a question of really a good or bad or repaying a debt. It's a question of balancing of karma and balancing the imbalance. So if you read on the news or you see it in person or whatever, somebody's attacked or molested or raped or killed or something like that, more than likely the person who was murdered in this lifetime was the person who murdered the murderer in the last lifetime, and so forth and so forth. And it's trying to balance itself out. Now, karma can be mitigated, so you don't have to have such a direct, dramatic, I bop you on the head, it's bopped on me, so to speak. Fevers are a way of mitigating karma. So when the body raises the temperature above normal, that is karma that normally, according to the masters, would have killed the person, but it's being mitigated for some reason. And if you've ever read the book, The Essene, the Gospel of Peace, and it was taken from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's about Jesus's life. A lot of it was in the Bible. Some of it was kind of extra to the Bible. But one scene in it that really stuck with me was Jesus was sitting on the on the kind of the side of the road with his disciples, and this guy's walking into town, and he's got this bundle of sticks on his back, and Jesus leans to Peter, and says, by the time the sun sets, this man's going to be dead because of his karma. Well, I guess I guess Jesus and these disciples didn't move much that day because they were still there. And here comes that guy, and it's dark outside. And Peter kind of leans to Jesus and says, hey, isn't that the guy you said was going to be dead by now? What happened? He didn't say it like that, but that's just my interpretation of it. Anyway, my, discussion of the dialogue. Anyway, but what Jesus said was, well, on the way to the town that he was at, he gave somebody who was thirsty water, and that mitigated his karma. And he said, go down there and open up the sticks and see what I'm talking about. And the disciples go down there, and they ask the man to set down the sticks, and they open it up, and there was a poisonous snake in there that was going to bite him. So Jesus said that by giving, by serving, by sharing, that mitigates karma all the time. And so the need for harmlessness is paramount. And when you see Maitreya on TV, he's going to be talking about the need for harmlessness. It's going to be core and central to his teachings. But again, we can't live in a harmless world that's so unjust when half of the world is living on next to nothing or starving to death, and the other half is living with more than it really needs. So that's what he's going to be addressing, because if we don't, the negative result of our actions is going to be we're all going to perish. And so it's that crucial and it's that dire, as I was saying earlier in another video. So Maitreya will be talking about the need for harmlessness. So listen, thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.